run your own race, get gradually better every year. I mean, I'm going to be pushing 40 million. In 2017, I was 11.
Got questions, we bring the facts. From proven pros who walk the tracks. Business life, no smoke, just flames. Ask the experts, David Williams brings the game.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It's that time of the week. It's January 16th. It's 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and welcome to another episode of Ask the Experts, where I'm going to be your host, David Williams, and our co-host, Andy Arter. And we have an incredible episode in store for you today. We have an incredible guest, good friend of mine, and somebody that's been literally taking the insurance industry by storm. We're thrilled to welcome Mr. Mark Mercer to Ask the Expert. He's a trailblazer in the insurance industry for over 15 years of experience. Mark, his journey began in 2007 with his father's agency. By 2009, he became an Allstate agency owner. And since then, he's built one of the largest insurance agencies in all of Indiana. That's a whopping $38 million agency with over 27 employees in 8 states. As a national insurance coach and creator of an innovative CRM tool in his industry, Mark just didn't stick to the insurance space, but he's got multiple businesses as a serial entrepreneur. And beyond business, he's a devoted father, a leader in his community, and known for his philanthropy and passion in making a positive impact. Please join me with a warm welcome for Mr. Mark Mercer. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you, my friend. Hell of an introduction. That sounded really impressive there. I appreciate it.
No, thank you. Deserve nothing less. Well, when I think I've known you for, quite some time now and have a great deal of respect for you. And one of the things when I hear your name that comes to mind is insisting on excellence and then having a golden standard of accountability when it comes to your operation of operating in excellence. And I think there's a lot of agents out there, that's where they struggle. They find that they can't find that fine line, like how high to hold somebody accountable to, or, how low, and they can't find that right mix as a leader. So our first question for you today is, how do you set clear expectations with your team to ensure excellence takes place in every aspect of their work?
I think it needs to be one thing I think we do is we make things too complicated in this business. Yeah. What I try to do is from day one, when we hire you, day one, when we make changes, I have a clear understanding, a one-on-one conversation, and create a culture where they understand that we're trying to hold you accountable because we want you to win. The goal is to win. And how I look at it as, I have a 15 and almost 12-year-old, I hold my kids accountable. There's nobody I love more than those 2 kids. And yet, if the grades aren't right, if the rooms aren't clean, if the talk back is a little too much, there's consequences, because we love our kids. I mean, I'm talking to fathers, so you guys understand it. So my team is finally, and it's taken years of building this culture where they understand that we're coming from a place of love. We want you to win. We want you to make money. No different than me. And if you're not putting in the work, if you're not doing the right thing daily, and let's not make this hard. Every day, just do the right thing. Do the right thing at work, hold the people accountable. And I don't think people have a challenge. I think some people have a challenging time doing that. I think what people really have a challenging time is when that doesn't occur, handling those conversations. Yep. And I think with experience and failures and not handling them the right way, I've learned to have a very clear and transparent conversation. We don't let it go on for weeks. If something's not met on a Monday, it's a Tuesday, 8:30 in the morning. It's not a Tuesday, 3:30 in the afternoon, because then you wasted half a day. It's an 8:30 in the morning. Let's sit down. Let's talk about it. Let's see why this isn't going to work, what we didn't hit. And I think people struggle with either setting them or then, okay, they missed them. Now what do we do? Because if I have an expectation of my kids to get good grades and they continually roll in with D's and F's and I don't do anything, I'm just basically telling my kids that this isn't really an expectation.
Yep.
In that same way I look at it with my employees.
No, absolutely. 100% agree with that. And, kind of what the things that I see out there too is like, it's twofold as to why people don't do that. I think one, they're uncomfortable being a leader. You might have had somebody that came in to start an insurance agency. They didn't have that leadership skill from their prior life coming into it, right? Maybe they were an LSP and they moved up and all of a sudden the fire hose came and hit them, but they never learned how to be a leader along the way. And what they tend to do is stick to what it's most comfortable, right?
Yep.
Maybe my comfort zone is to keep selling. Maybe my comfort zone is to be the glorified service person in my own business. But then while you're doing that, it's kind of like there's nobody that's really leading the helm. And then I think the second piece of it is the fear or not willingness to put in the work when it comes to leading people, because it takes work, right? And when they don't do that, I think they can tell somebody to do something all day long, but when their actions as a leader and they walk by with them not doing it and they say nothing, they've essentially just, gave them permission. You don't have to listen to anything that I say or anything that I do. And what I always love doing is trying to figure out, hey, I don't want you to hit goals for the sake of hitting my goals and helping me become more wealthy or helping my business become more successful. But what I want to understand, what makes you tick? What are your personal goals? What are your professional goals? And if I can get in alignment with that assignment with you and I can help you hit those goals and see that there's congruency in with the targets we're trying to get you hit and making those goals come to fruition, it's a different conversation. Because if you have an LSP, hey, you know what? I'm in a sucky neighborhood. I want to get my kids out of this crammed apartment because I'm not making enough income. And my goal is to get them in a safe community and a home. Well, now it's a different dialogue. Well, you didn't make the dials. You didn't make the calls.
Yep.
Hey, that picture of your kid you have on the screen, is it fair to them that you're showing up 8 hours today and you're mailing it in? You're not doing all the right things. They got to wait another day, another week, another month. That conversation hits differently as a leader rather than, hey, get more dials, get more sales, or I'm going to terminate you.
I agree. And I read a book years ago, Radical Candor, which really kind of helped me change how I looked at this game. And I think a lot of the problems, guys, that they run into is when they have a conversation with somebody, we typically fall into two buckets. I either call it the cool mom or cool dad. Yeah. The saying, I'm the cool mom. I think that's a Mean Girls or some cheesy movie. Or there's the whip, and I think all of us naturally fall into one of those two buckets. Like if I'm being very transparent, when I'm at my worst, I fall into the whip, where I'm just going to whip production. That's not how you lead, to be clear, but I know that's where my fallback is to. So once you kind of realize your fallback and your own mistakes as a leader and what you do wrong, then it becomes much easier. It's amazing the conversations you just had, if you have those with your employees, how easy these challenging conversations can be, because you're just transparent. You both had conversations about what you wanted and you're not doing the work to get there. And so once you do that, it just clears everything up.
No, I absolutely love that. I tell people that all the time. It's like, hey, if you're looking at the answer why things aren't going or people aren't doing the things you want them to do, like don't keep asking about the people. How do I get the right people? Walk into the bathroom real quick, look in the mirror, and then ask yourself, what do I need to do differently as a leader? I'm a big fan of extreme ownership. Everything is my fault. And if I operate under the lens that everything is my fault, well, the answer always lies within me. And I can always come up with that answer and control the outcome at the end of the day.
Love Jocko.
Yeah. And then, one of the next things too, when it comes to, you got that team member and you're looking to hold them accountable, I think there's maybe a lack of clarity on how somebody does that. Walk us through a little bit. Hey, you got that team member, you got strategies in place for them. They understand the expectations that were taught to them. Now, what does that accountability factor look like without micromanaging that particular team member?
So we kind of started the interview process, and I've done this maybe since 2018. I call it my 90-day speech. So when I'm bringing somebody aboard, I'm bringing Andy on board, as a new sales producer. I'll look at Andy and I'll say, I'm not going to offer you the job. We're going to talk afterwards. And I'll basically set the expectation that I have a 90-day rule, Andy, and base is very simple. Within 90 days, I said, to be honest, less, probably 30. One or two outcomes are going to happen. Option one, Andy's killing it. He's crushing it. Everything Andy told me in this interview, he is. He's driven. He's hardworking. He's coachable. All of his dreams are coming true. And Andy, that's 100% your fault. I just gave you the opportunity. Andy, you did the rest. Option two, Andy's not coachable. He's not on the phone. He's not driven.
Yep.
And we're letting him go. And then I look at you, I'm like, it's probably not going to be 90 days. It'll probably be 30, because I'll know real quick. And again, Andy, that is also your fault. Either way, I go home at night and sleep like a baby, because I gave you the opportunity. And now it's up to Andy to run with it. I made Andy the guy in the story. So that's kind of how we start out. And then once we have you in the umbrella, we have a pretty decent turnover within 60 days, because we're just going to identify the characteristics that aren't workable. And we're going to move on from that. Once we get past that, it's mostly maintenance conversations. I mean, we know you have it in you. Maybe it's just you get distracted. I mean, we all have personal lives. Maybe we're fighting with our girlfriend, our boyfriend and I broke. I get all those things, and we all have that. So then it's bringing the shit back and bringing it back. And I had a conversation with a young lady on my team, and she was a top producer, and she just went through a 3-month stretch where the bottom came out, and my manager's taught. Finally, I brought her in. I'm like, you're supposed to be fired today. And I said, but I care about you. I said, I feel like there's something going on. That's not you. And it got emotional. There were some tears involved. And I'm like, I care about you, but I'm like, I still have a company to run. I'm like, today's a new day. I said, the best way to look at it is you're basically at a fork in the road. You can choose to go my way or go the other way. The other way doesn't end with this well. Come my way. I said, the easiest way to get out of your problems is to make sure you don't have to worry about your bills. And that's what people forget about. Like, if I got personal problems, I don't also want to have checking account problems.
I think that's our job as a leader too, right? Yeah. It's like getting them to understand the more energy, the more attention you give your problems. I get you're having these setbacks. Well, that's the very behavior that's going to cement you in the setback, and you're never going to get out of it, because the more, whatever you give your attention to grows. If you give your growth your attention, you're going to grow. But if you give your problems your attention, your problems are going to grow, and they're going to just keep you standing in the same place.
Yep.
And then, that kind of leads me into, your top performers. How do you reward high performers on a consistent basis that create the culture you desire in effort to celebrate excellence consistently?
I think it's a couple of things. I mean, obviously compensation is one. You want to make sure you're competitive with your compensation plan, but it's not the end of the story, guys. I mean, we want more than just money from our job. So we try to do a really good job in my agency. Simple things. We do every month a sales championship. Whoever has the most production sold in a month gets a belt. I'm an 80s guy, Hulk Hogan.
Yeah,
I'm dating myself here, but I'm a Hulkamaniac. So it's cool to get it's a wrestling belt. You get a picture. We put it on Facebook. We tag you, because what's even cooler is their friends, their family, their community sees that they're the top performer. We do that. We do it annually. We do different contests. So if you win, I kind of realized that if you give people money, they'll spend it on things like bills, dinner, go and have drinks with the
or stupid shit.
Well, I want it to be fun, stupid shit. So so we do it where if you win, you buy an experience. You want to go to a concert, a ball game, whatever. You want to. I'm a big Jordan guy, so shoes are important in my life. So we've got a dollar amount that we'll buy shoes. So I have some of the best shoes in the world in my company. And again, or a watch. I'm a watch guy. Yep. So we just and you get, and what's cool is now I've got guys that are, they're when they're out with their friends and they got a new pair of Jordans or whatever they are into. How'd you get those? I won it in my office. There's a pride in that, a top performer. We've also identified that one thing we've kind of a couple of years ago, we changed in the company is sometimes your number one producer every month isn't your most culture important producer every month.
Yep.
Sometimes your second, third, fourth place guy or gal is really pushing the entire company a different way. So now we call it a foundation award. We do it annually. It's for the man or woman that best represents what I want from my producer, the culture. And basically the simplest thing, we have no excuses, be driven, work hard, have fun. That's it. This is not a hard game. Do those things and life works out.
No, I love that. And then, you think about that, the first time they put on those shoes or that watch, the dopamine hit there, and then winning becomes addictive, right? Yeah. And then every time they put them on before they come into the office again, it's a reminder of the stay in the winning circle and the value of doing that too. So I absolutely love that. Now, for agency owners out there that, hey, because I think sometimes the comparison can be like a thief of progress. They look at a Mark Mercer, $40 million. They look at how far you came, and they might be on the opposite side of that spectrum. And they think from a lens, not the gradual steps, because you didn't get there overnight. I didn't get there overnight. Andy didn't get there overnight. But they think they have to get there overnight. And I think the intimidation from that creates a level of paralysis that they never start. What do you have to say to that person that's maybe paralyzed due to maybe a comparison out there on what that first step could be to start taking their operation from the average operation that lacks some of these principles of excellence to eventually getting it to where you are?
Well, ignore social media. Like, I'm very thankful that when I was struggling, there wasn't Facebook. So I would have to log in these groups and see these numbers and go, holy crap, I'm writing 40 items a month. And this guy, Dave Williams, for example, is writing 200 and I can't fathom being there. We run our own race. Like, I remember being at a conference. This is about 2012. And there are a couple agents in the room and they're writing 100 items a month each. And they look like aliens to me. I didn't understand it. I didn't know what they're doing. I just looked up at state, and now they're friends. I know the gentleman, and I didn't understand it. Run your own race, get gradually better every year. I mean, I'm going to be pushing 40 million. In 2017, I was 11. That's not that long ago.
Yeah.
And make sure at the end of the day, we're here to run a company that makes money, that's profitable, pays our bills. I mean, you have to decide what's important to you. And again, celebrate your own wins. Like, I see people in groups like, oh my God, it's the first time my agency hit 100 items. And then they always do this thing I hate. I know for some of you, that's not, no, take that out of it.
Yeah.
If that's the first time you did it, celebrate it. Like, if I'm going to the gym and I'm lifting weights and I'm like, Dave, this is the first time I benched 150 pounds. Now maybe Dave's throwing up 250. Dave would celebrate me. I know that Dave would. He'd be like, good for you, man. Like, I'm getting stronger. Like, whatever your win is, just celebrate it. And don't expect to change it overnight. Sometimes it's taking an advantage. When you're smaller, 3-4 employees, and you don't like how, like I did this years ago. I was 6 employees and I decided to do a scratch. And that means we're going to double our sales producers. And I just didn't like my team that much, if I'm being really honest. I kind of had a bunch of bitchers and whiners, and I just didn't dig it. So I said, I'm going to create a whole new organization. It's going to look exactly how I want. I'm going to hire around that. And I basically, within 24 months, turned around my entire operation. I think I kept one person from the original crew and ended up getting about 10 employees at the time. So if you're sitting at 3-4 employees and you come to work and you don't like looking around, what a great opportunity. Make that first hire. That's a change. And then just keep changing after that. I mean, I kind of miss the days where, like, it was growing is more fun than getting to where you want to go. Like, the journey, and I'm trying, I'm still pushing for more growth. I'm not done, but I miss the days of being 6, 7, 8 million and being like, God, I can't wait to get to 10. And then it was 20. And then went from 20 to, now it's 50. I don't know when it stops, but enjoy the journey. I mean,
100%. And I think along the way too, you get more clarity of what you really want. Cause what I thought I wanted was this uber successful insurance agency. But then I woke up one day and realized that I was doing it the wrong way and I was a slave to it and it couldn't operate without me. I was like, this isn't the way to be an entrepreneur. What is my true goal? I want freedom, like what everybody wants. Right. And how can I do this now through a lens of freedom where I empower the right people and they're getting more of what they want at the same time I'm getting what they want, because in the lens of my freedom, I'm empowering them to grow and have to take on more responsibility. I think it's just really getting clear on that over time. And then one of the things that I love to do too is, don't try to transform your point overnight, but it's like, what if I got 1% better every day? And that was just my goal, to improve 1% from yesterday. And you start to compound like a 401k. I'm 1% better as a leader. I'm 1% better in my faith. I'm 1% better present as a father and with my family. I'm 1% better in my finances. Like, the compounded effect like that's a lot more attainable than trying to go from 0 to 40 million overnight. But the compounded effect like that, you're going to look back 12 months later and not even recognize yourself in the mirror anymore. And
the other thing to think about, just piggyback that, is, I made fun of social media because it's just fun to do. But what a great opportunity if you're a new agent, or even if you're and you haven't hit your goals, and you're looking on Facebook and the different groups and you're seeing posts from big men and women hitting numbers. I didn't have that to like message like, hey, what are you doing? Like, I mean, the ability to get information into your mind is so much quicker than it used to be. I mean, I used to have to go to conferences and pay all. Now, I mean, I still go to conferences. They're great value in them. I'm not dismissing them. But now I can see a guy or gal killing it and just ask questions. Because one thing that's really cool about insurance agents, and I don't know if this I don't know if any other industries like that. They always share.
Yep.
It's a unique community where I'm not sure that a lot of other industries like, yeah, here's how I hold my team accountable. Here's how I drive new business. Here's how I manage my service team. Here's my management team. I don't think that it's free. It's free downloads, which is the best
No,
part.
I've seen the same thing. It's a rare thing, kind of unique. I think there's certain industries, insurance one of them, where people are open to collaboration, willingness to share. But one of the things I still see within that is not enough people asking for help. They think they have to be on another, an island all by themselves. And the single biggest detriment that I see with a lot of people is not asking for help and then taking action on the advice that they're getting from the people that are willing to give them the keys to, everything they had to learn the hard way. Right.
I mean, you and I are friends now, but I remember when you weren't my friend and you were just a guy killing it. And I reached out like, hey, can I ask you a couple things? Open book, told me anything I wanted to know. Like, I've asked so many men and women, from Laura Harris when I started, I mean, just that have helped run my company. It's like, there are no original ideas left in sales. They ran out of those a long time ago. It's how we basically digest and spit it back out. And so ask, man. If I was starting out new, I would have a couple people get tired of me reaching out, because again, down the line, you're going to be the one killing it, and just return the favor.
Yeah, no, 100%. And one thing I'll add to that, because I see it as a pitfall for people before we move on, is when you ask, take action before going asking again, because I'll see people get in the perpetual state of asking, and they become this like receptor of information that they never actually play in the action. They actually forget about it before they can do anything with it. But the real learning comes in is when you actually go after implementation. And then I think that's where you grow as a leader, is doing that. So it's like, and then you start to become nimble, like, damn, I'm pretty good at freaking taking action now. And that's a very valuable skill set. It's like, boom, get information, take action, boom, get information, take action. And the compounded effect of that will transform your business.
And take the feedback, even if it's tough feedback, even if the feedback is you're the problem. Well, like you said earlier, extreme ownership. I take that feedback and make the change.
No, 100%. And, a lot of things that we're talking about performing at a high level here, I think that doesn't come without inspecting what you expect. So I'd be curious, what are the measurables and how the rhythm in which you inspect what you expect on a consistent basis in your agency to keep them at that, operational excellence?
Now I'm at the point now where I'm inspecting managers. I'm not expecting sales producers, but if I put my old hat on, like you said, I'm more out than in as far as I'm working on the outside. But when I was more on the inside, I mean, we use every piece of technology to make life easy for you.
Yep.
I mean, there's so many different ways to do that, whether it's Zoom meetings. I mean, just simple stuff that we all understand. I remember that we used to track production off an Excel spreadsheet that they had to send to me. Still nothing wrong with it. Excel spreadsheets are free. Like, just track it every day.
I operate off those myself.
Yeah.
Didn't have the money to invest in anything fancy.
No, and we just did the simplest things. I mean, now to be honest, we use a job form that the employees fill out every night on both sides of the organization, send their activity report, and then we have it sitting there. I mean, it's that simple. So then I can literally, I don't do it anymore, but I could scroll through it within minutes and see what was their day like, what was their dials, what was their activity. And now, I've got my, plugged my buddy Harker, he's using AI to help coach, help go through call recordings. So instead of me listening to a 45-minute phone call, which I've done more times than I can count, since this program spits out a coaching grade, and then we have conversations. Just look for opportunities that make your life easier, and look for different technology and have conversations. The biggest thing people do is they don't have the conversation. They get the information and then they do nothing with the information. Sorry, Andy, I cut you off.
No, I cut you off. I just wanted to jump in because we did get a live audience question. Okay. And I wanted to make room for that just while it's kind of fresh, if you guys don't mind.
Yeah, let's go.
Awesome. This is from Amy Bennett. And she said, what does your day look like, Mark? What's changed in your role from 11 million to 40 million?
Hello, Amy. It's a good question. I've kind of throughout the last couple of years begun to, so there was a time where I managed every employee. I literally was, coaching, doing everything else. Now I have a sales manager. I'm promoting to one, a service manager, and I have an operations manager. And then I have 2 team leads on the sales side, because there's a lot going on. I mean, if you're an Allstate agency, we're a sales organization, first and foremost. The company's made it very clear that's where our compensation is. So that's wherever the money is, where we're going to follow. And so now my day-to-day is I'm working on meeting with those managers, making sure they can coach, making sure they can train, making sure they know what I'm coaching coaches. I'm not coaching anybody anymore. The only piece that I handle day to day is I'm in charge of marketing because I like marketing. I want to do that. I want to be in day to day. I want to look at the leads. I want to manage the traffic. I want to see what the activity is off those leads. I enjoy that. I enjoy talking to lead vendors. I've got long-term relationships with a variety of them that, so, and again, with the new TCPA rules, that means I'm working more than I used to work on leads and having conversations. So I think the biggest transition, to kind of recap, is instead of coaching employees, I'm now coaches and coaches.
I love that. I love that. And that kind of leads us perfectly right where we want to go on the marketing side. There is kind of marketing strategy during challenging times. So you're looking at the insurance industry as a whole. Allstate, I think took a brunt of it, right? Commission changes that you have, rate increases, adjustments to close rate. Seems like the cheese keeps getting moved. And now all the TCPA laws that are, taken in some cases, lead cost 5x, where you have a $15 minimum floor with a lot of lead providers for a data lead. So I think this is creating, I don't know, a place of anxiety and scarcity for a lot of agents out there. And I'd be curious how you're navigating that environment to stay nimble and not let production just take a nosedive off a cliff.
One is we're kind of waiting to see where everything falls. We're taking a minute. We're evaluating how everything changes. And the reason I say that is I don't want to, as a leader, panic and change my entire operation that I built overnight because of what we foresee happening. If you ask 10 different people how this is going to affect the industry, the only consistency you'll have is less leads, more cost. But nobody knows what that really looks like. Is less 10%, is less 50%. Well, that's a drastic difference. So we're going to take 60, 90 days to evaluate that, get a really good grip on that. The other thing is it was an eye-opening for me so you mentioned earlier extreme ownership. This is my extreme ownership. Leads became so easy. The compensation was so significant that if I had a problem, I just bought more leads. That was my solution to the problem. And we became kind of lazy. I remember back in the day, I'd write 250 items a month and 125 of them were free. And by free, I mean win-backs, requotes, service. I look last year, we were doing about 100. We're writing 650 items a month and I'm paying for 550. So we spent the fourth quarter significantly training and reorganizing my service organization to make sure they understood that the game has changed. I love that you hug and love my clients, and please continue to love and hug them. But if you're not driving in new opportunities, this isn't the company for you anymore. Because we don't have inside and outside sales. I have sales and service. I separate them like a car dealership. On top of that, I've met with my sales reps, made them very aware. If you're not out there driving the win-backs, the requotes, the referrals, we're pushing referrals harder than we ever have. And we're tracking it. You're going to make less money in 2025. We've kind of built in our compensation. Because you want to motivate salespeople, give them a carrot and give them a whip. So the whip is you're going to make less money. The carrot is if you do the right things, you make more. That's kind of sales 101. And we're really, really pushing. The goal is this year, I want to go from 80 to 100 to over 200 items per month that we're not, I jokingly that my Amex didn't pay for that month. Because at the end of the day, guys, there's only so many human beings in Indiana. And I've been buying leads since 2017 at a pretty significant rate. You know how many leads that I rebuy that we already quoted 6? So we're just retraining the mindset. Like, I think I built a team that were so used to the phone ringing, they picked up the phone, it was a live transfer, and we still do a ton of that. But when that phone doesn't ring, because it may ring a little less, get on the phone and self-generate.
No, so I love that. And, we started doing that too, like in our other companies as well. We always did it on the insurance side, but, did it like Team Hired, for example.
Yeah.
We look at all of our service reps as, how do we get them to, cover their cost and what they can generate from a lead standpoint. And, what we did is we made 50% of their base pay on what we call success points. So they get a base pay, but then they can double their pay by maxing out our compensation plan when it comes to success points. Well, what are those success points that we know are going to drive the bottom line? Well, if you get a good Google review, that's a success point, and that's a good barometer that, hey, somebody that thought our service sucked, they're probably not going to give us a good Google review. So if you can't get a Google review, which is required every transaction, you got to explain why. Could you get a video testimonial, Better Business Bureau review, a Facebook review, and then even taking a little bit deeper, like the ultimate compliment, and just have a dialogue with the person. Hey, how would you rate my level of service that I gave today? Oh, it's a 10. Well, I'd be remiss. I only wanted to ask you that before I asked you this. If you think I did so well, how I get compensated, literally 50% of my compensation is based off of referrals. Who do you know? 2 or 3 people I could give the same level of service today. And now what you do is you got the law of reciprocity psychologically that's on your hand. Like you just had them tell you gave a 10. And now when you ask for referrals in that frame that, hey, this is half my compensation, how I get rated, who doesn't want to provide a referral? Yep. And then you got your whole service team that you turn into a lead generation engine now. Hey, could you get me an introduction to somebody that has 100 more of my customers underneath maybe another company that's not a competitor? Different things like that to all generate opportunities that aligns our mission kind of with their mission. So I think the more agents can get creative like that, they're on the phone with a customer. Hey, get referrals. You're on the phone with a customer. Hey, I'm doing a policy review, accident safety course, home ownership, alarm. Oh, by the way, our biggest discounts are bundled. The more yeses you give me, the more discounts I give you. What toys do you insure? Do you have a business? Do you have a rental property? Going deeper into the household. And then when you find those ones that have a lot of things to insure, people don't like ride jet skis by themselves and boats by themselves. They typically have friends that have those same things. So those referrals specifically are going to be gold. And the more you can get your team, I think, comfortable with that, like you can just start operating in a whole different, frame inside your business.
You brought up something I want to add on. So we compensate Google review, same kind of concept you were saying on the service side. And I had a young lady, she's like 3 months in, and she had like 20 Google reviews in a month. And so, but 0 referrals. So I mean, am I the only one that sees the opportunity? So you got 20 individuals log into their computer, mention you by name that you're amazing. You weren't asking. So we took it as a coaching opportunity. Okay, everyone loves you. 20 is insane. Now, how do we take that love and transition to referrals?
I love that. Yeah. And I guess, kind of high level overview. Because I mean, there's some people I'll see, they'll try to go all in on, 1, 2, maybe 3 marketing efforts. And then there's some that have just like all these arrows in their quiver and they're very diversified. How do you operate your marketing efforts? Is it coming out of a few key strategies do you have, or do you have that, very diverse blend of efforts that's coming to the end total each month?
I would say key strategies and good partnerships. A lot of my lead vendors that I've used, some go back to 2017, same rep, same guy, same gal, relationships. Because it gets to the point, like I see a lot of people like, I tried this company for 30 days, they stink. I'm like, I don't know. That's not a lot of time in my mind to really vet a vendor. So we've always been in the data lead, live transfer. That's kind of where we've lived. I've never been a mail guy for the insurance world. I may, with the new TCPA, have to try a new norm, if you will, and get into that world. But I mean, at the end of the day, I'm using 5 companies at the end of the day, and they're all kind of similar. And 3 of the 5 I've had relationships with for years. And I like that because there's a level of trust, like, especially right now, like one of them, I'm texting them before, here's my lead number. What are you seeing? And here's, and we're having really good, like, what do we got to fix? How do we solve it? I feel like you kind of get partners in a way.
So I love that.
Yeah.
And, so that a lot of the agencies are out there, maybe, hey, they're not 40 million. Yeah, there might be 3-4 million. They've gotten themselves in a place where they're stuck in a hole. There may be, if in the Allstate world, they could be in the merging space. All of a sudden, their renewals are about as low as it can go. And it's putting them in a place where they're strapped. They really don't have enough staff that they should have because they can't afford to have the staff.
Yeah.
And then they don't have a lot of, really, some of them don't have any budget at all really to market unless they were to go out and go into the debt trap in order to kind of move forward because they found themselves in that hole. If you were in that hole today, $3-4 million agency, there's really not a lot of cash flow, and you got to make things happen. What is Mark Mercer going to do in that situation?
I'll tell you what I did when I was in that situation. I'm not saying it's a business plan that I recommend, but I want to be transparent. When I bought my agency, it was a $1.84 million agency that was shrinking every month in earned premium. It's hard to shrink earned premium in Indiana. We don't have a lot of premium, so we don't non-renew. It was shrinking. And I was really crappy at my cash flow. And I realized pretty quickly that I was negative cash flowing $3,000 to $6,000 a month. Negative that's without me making a dollar. That's just paying my bills, paying the rent, paying the loan. So my business, I had no money, no real money, to speak of. So I became a sales rep because that was free. Like I didn't pay commission on me. I didn't pay myself for 2 years. I then basically came with the plan that I looked at my bonus if I maxed it at the time, which was $40,000. And I said, well, you can run up 40 grand in credit card debt and pay it off back to zero if you bonus. I did that for 3 years. Now, I don't recommend that. But what I want to give you is the mentality that you've got to go all in or get out. Like you've got to, there's no, however you want to do that. I'm not saying, don't go to Discover Visa. I did, Rob and Peter pay Paul, but you've got to go all in. I see some agents out there, 4 or 5 million, like, well, it's me, my manager, and 2 service people. What do we have a manager for? There's too many managers in the Allstate world. There's way too many. Like, you don't need a manager. Like, I was selling until I was like 7, 8 million. Now, once I got to like 6, was I driving no, but I was still pushing business because I'm good at sales. And so find ways to drive revenue into your company. As frustrating as our compensation changes have been in Allstate, and they have been, when I start out, if I wrote a new policy, I got 10%. And my average premium was like $475. So do the math. It wasn't a lot to cash flow. And now we're getting significantly higher than that. So take an opportunity. I'll give one more little story. So when they introduced this emerging pro and elite, at first it really didn't matter unless you want to buy books. Pro to elite were kind of the same. So if you're telling me they're the same, I don't really care. So I didn't pay any attention to it. I'm going to be very honest. And a couple of years ago, I'm trending for a big bonus. Life is good. The cash flow is great. I'm pro. I don't even know where I'm at. And they rolled out, hey, it's August. If you're not elite, you don't get the second VC. And I looked at that, and there was a significant amount of money for me. So at that point, I did it again. We went all in. I used your company. I think I used every recruiting company in the world to find as many sales reps as I could. But it set me up for the next 24 to 36 months. So if you're emerging, figure out a plan to get to pro. You've got to figure out a plan to get to pro. That they've made it very clear that they're going to keep hammering that level, and I hate that for them. If you don't know how to get there, reach out to people that have gotten there. Find a coach. I had so many people along the way help me. So that's a longer answer, but that's my answer.
No, absolutely. I love that answer too. And I think, some key words in there too, when you're talking about, hey, sometimes the reality is you got to invest, you got to go into a little bit of debt like that.
Yeah.
But only do it if you're prepared to, like you said, go all in, because the debt isn't going to curate the situation. If you're not putting in the work, it's not going to work for you. It's actually going to create more pain.
Yeah.
But if you're ready and willing to go all in, and you're maybe already doing that, well, you can pour a little bit of like rocket fuel on top of that with the investment capital. And then that can take you to A to Z, a lot quicker if you got the right formula working for you.
And both times I didn't have like when I started this business, I didn't have a backup plan. It's not like I graduated from Notre Dame with, I plug in my favorite college, with a 4.0. Like I graduated IU with a 2.7. There were not companies banging down my door to be like, we need to get him on board because he's a rock star. So this is the opportunity I had to get to live my dreams. So when you kind of don't have a backup plan, which a lot of us, when we start, this is it. And that's how even now I have other businesses I run. I still don't look at, like, I joke all the time that like the only other thing I was good at besides running an insurance agency was bartending, and I'm too damn old to bartend. So I better make this work, even though other things are working. It's just my mentality.
No, and I think mentality means a lot too. And it's like, I think people don't underestimate the power that they have to kind of reframe their thoughts, reframe their emotion. Cause I was in that same spot with you. You know, doctors are telling me I'm going to be on disability for life. I'm freaking broke as a joke. Starting this scratch agency, everybody's going to tell me I'm going to fail. Like, I got to let that fear in, you know, at times that it did, you know, there's stress, there's fear, there's anxiety that kicks in. But like, we have the power, like you can, and I started to learn how to hack and reframe those emotions. I'm like, Dave, this isn't stress. This isn't anxiety. This is pressure, baby. And you fucking thrive under pressure. You create diamonds under pressure. And then when you start to do that and start to tell yourself, on the other side of pressure, every time I encounter a problem, it turns me into the next best version of me. And it turns my company into the next best version of my company. And you can start to really reprogram your mind that when you experience stress and anxiety, well, it's really pressure. And on the other side of pressure is excitement in the next best part of life. And then you start getting excited about your stress and anxiety, and it loses its power and allows you just to act, I think, more concisely, more data driven, more decision driven, more logic driven, rather than emotion driven.
And I use the word stress because everyone says stress is like a bad word. I say good stress and bad stress.
Yeah.
I love good stress. I love good stress. Good stress gets me up at 5. Good stress gets me to the gym. I don't like bad stress. I don't deal with bad stress. Good stress, I'm here to the day I die. It's fun.
No, absolutely. Love it. Love it. So, I mean, when it comes to, I guess, a lot of the people you coach, because you're also an insurance coach,
Yep.
and you've helped a lot of agents. And through the years now of helping a lot of agents, I think success leaves clues. And then also, you know, people sitting in their setback and failures leave clues. And I'd be curious of the commonalities, because people can learn from those commonalities that, hey, if you could do one thing, or you see one commonality across the winner circle, what would that be? And then if you could see one detriment across the people that are sitting in a setback, what would that one thing be that the audience could learn from today?
It's a good question. I'm taking a second. I mean, I guess if it's like that game show, you have 10 seconds to answer. The ones that are winning comes down to accountability, which we kind of talked about, but let's go beyond that a little bit.
Yeah.
The ones that are truly winning are tracking and investing. And I mean, investing in their people. Like at the end of the day, we all buy the same leads.
Yep.
Like I don't have any special Mark Mercer leads that work. If I did, I'd be on a beach right now, which sounds like Florida wouldn't work. I have to go further south to be warm. But but investing in their people and having a plan. A lot of people say, yeah, invest in my people, but there's not a real plan behind it. A lot of people are say I'm coaching my people, but how, like, do you have a coaching, like I know, Dave, I know you're a big workout guy. You have a plan when you go to the gym. I don't need to ask you that. I know you do. I know you will. Yep. And you probably have a plan for the month of January to the gym that you want to tackle.
Yep. Even all the way to knowing my travel schedule and that, hey, I'm going to be out of town here, and getting a temporary membership so I can either go do yoga or whatever's making me feel good when I travel is plan. It's got to, if you don't have a plan, it's not going to happen.
And that's kind of my point. So if you're talking about building a sales organization, you want to coach, do you have a coaching schedule? Do you have a coaching plan? What are we tackling? Like I'm just going to coach it. So I'm blowing up the answer a little bit, but like having an actual plan. Like I go to the gym, I have an app on my phone. I get on my phone. It says today's push day. We go hit it. I track my numbers. My goal is to get stronger. It's the same thing at sales producers. Like everything needs to be tracked and everything needs to be planned out. Detriment, just fucking negativity. Like nobody cares. Like here's a real honest truth in life. No one cares. No one gives a shit about your problems. Now, Dave, something bad happened to you. I'm sorry for that. But at the end of the day, it's your problem to figure out. So the company you work for doesn't care. Your friends don't care. So you have to figure it out. The excuse mentality and the sadness and that's bullshit. My least favorite thing in the word is the word fair. I love the F word. That's not the F word I love. No. I hate the word fair. Like, great, I'll say change. It's bullshit. Okay, take a minute, go home, feel sorry for yourself like 20, 30 minutes, get up, go to the gym and figure it out. Like there's a solution every time. It's just I can't fix a negative mentality.
No, 100%. And that's one of the biggest things I see fail a lot of people. And they don't realize like how much, and I talk about this, all the time, how much there's actually science behind it too.
Yep.
There's a reason you see two different types of people in life. You see the one type of person, it's like they got the Midas touch. Everything they touch turns to gold. Like, oh, must be nice. And then you got the other person, like you talk to them and it's like, woe is me. Here's all my problems. You talk to them 3 years later, they're talking about the same problems again. I think where you put your attention, it grows. But people don't realize there's science behind it. We have a reticulating activating system at the base of our skull that helps process the 60,000 thoughts that we have a day. And it's going to prioritize what we think is most important. How does it think? How does it know what's most important? It's similar to you buy a brand new sports car, right? And then all of a sudden you see that sports car all over the road. Well, because you're giving your attention to that in the moment, your brain prioritizes that and shows you all those different things. Well, success works the same way. If you're focused and obsessed on success, in winning, well, it's going to show you paths to win. But if you're focused on the negative and then you want to try to go in what feels like a comfort zone, I'm going to go maybe stay out of the winner's circle because I don't feel worthy. And I'm going to go into the complaint circle because I see that more times than not. You see it on social media too. You got the group, you got the Facebook group that's all the winners that are showing their numbers. And then you got the Facebook group that the winners aren't a part of, but it's all the people that are just bitching, complaining, and everything else. I can guarantee you if you analyze the net worth and the success of both groups, one is going to be a clear and transparent winner. The other one's going to be a clear and transparent loser. And I think it's because of where they're putting their attention and where they're putting their focus. And that's something that anybody can freaking control. And you might think that you're so far down like a pit of despair. Well, how do I possibly get there? Where again, the only reason you feel that way is you're comparing yourself to somebody else. You got to just look in the mirror. How do I get to a better place? It might be getting up and making your damn bed and just getting momentum from feeling like, hey, I made the bed. And then I started making my bed. I cleaned my house. I started going to the gym and wins. And what I found is like wins in different parts of our life can be contagious because it allows us to, process dopamine and all these serotonin, all these positive chemicals in our body that then feed over into the other things. So it's like sometimes you might just need to get up, get out of bed and make your bed to create some resemblance of momentum if you're in a really bad place.
The other thing I think is important that I maybe 10 years ago really slapped me in the face. Who you hang out with matters.
Yep.
Your circle is more important than it. I don't care what your college degree is. I don't care if you went to college. I don't care if you graduated high school. Your circle matters. You need men and women around you that are here to win. Doesn't mean we're all running the same race, but I have some phenomenal human beings that like I can pick up the phone and be like, hey, I want to bounce this off you. They're gonna be like, that's bullshit. Quit bitching. Like they're gonna call me out of my shit, or they're like, and I've been doing that for years. I remember years ago when I first went to Mega, and that's an all-state conference, and like I figured out real quick who the winners were, and I'm not gonna lie. I immediately went up to the winners like, I'm Mark, nice to meet you. There was a couple men and women that I was like, I just want them to know my name and be in their world a little bit. And I did that intentionally.
No, 100%. I think, one of the things, I'd like to share real quick with people when it comes to that, because I think, you get into that first room, you get to their first mega conference, you're at CWC, wherever it might be. It can be intimidating to walk up to those people.
Sure.
So what do they do again? Stay in a comfort zone, talk to the same people they're comfortable with that they already know everything from, right?
Yep.
But if you go in there with intention, hey, I'm going to go to this conference and I'm going to really invest in myself. I got a rule of 3 because at one point I was the guy, hey, I'd go there, go for the dopamine hit, hear all the information, come back. And my life really didn't change all that much. But when you start getting intentional about it, my rule of 3 is I'm looking for 3 people that I can serve. Because I think if you can help people, the more servitude that you give, that's going to help you get to your destination as a byproduct.
Yep.
So I'm looking for 3 people that I can help and serve that keeps the sword sharp. And then 3 people that are maybe on my level I can collaborate with. And maybe we have, opposite strengths and weaknesses, and we can share some best practices to accelerate how we're getting to the both same place that we're trying to go to. And then I'm looking for 3 people that intimidate the hell out of me. 3 people I'd be afraid to go up and talk to that I want to learn from, that's going to pour rocket fuel on my growth. And that's going to get me in bigger and bigger rooms. And then lastly, hey, what is 1 to 3 things that I can take away from an implementation standpoint in the next 90 days that I can easily apply inside of my business, take action on, that's going to make my business better. And if you go there with that, kind of intention, I call it my rule of 3, call it whatever you want. But
Okay.
being intentional and having a plan, just like you just said, having a plan in your business, you should have a plan in every part of life, including going to an event like that to kind of leave yourself better off.
That's great. I've never even looked at it that way, but that's a really smart way to look at these events. Yep. And one thing that people forget about, they're intimidated to go talk to somebody like a Dave Williams or whoever it may be. You're new. You may be more agile. You may have ideas. There may be a conversation where I'm like, holy shit, that's really smart. I'm going to steal that myself. I mean, there's so many opportunities where I got a guy coming up. He's like, can I ask you a bunch of questions? And we're doing this. I'm like, well, that's really smart. I've actually never thought of that. So I'm going to answer your questions. I'm going to steal your idea and take it back to my shop. So that's cool.
Yeah. And think like a strategist when you're coming in too. Like, hey, how can I, what are the things that are going to make people want to help me more? Well, maybe you got to add the value first and figure out, hey, how can I add value into this person's life? And then how do I get in the right proximity? So I started to paying to get in a lot of rooms. And then my intention was, well, I have to earn my right to stay here now so I can stop paying to be into the room and earn my way in the circle. And I was blessed to be able to do that with some of them. And then we had an event that came up, and I knew it was going to be on a private jet, David Meltzer, Dane Cook, and a group of like 20 other people. So I'm like, all right, I want to like get proximity to Dane Cook and more time with Dave Meltzer. So while everybody else was like hanging around in the circle, not talking to those guys, like I just like kind of hovered back, waited for their move to get onto the plane, and boom, got right up in the plane with them, sat next to him on the private jet. So now I had 3 hours of FaceTime, got Dane Cook's cell phone number, and now we're like, I helped him out with, some of the health challenges that they were facing. And now we chat back and forth together, built a deeper relationship with Dave Meltzer. But had I not, kind of took that chance and been strategic, I wouldn't have built those valuable relationships. So I think if you take it a step further, once you get good at the rule of three being in the room, how do you become a strategist? Get yourself around the right people, serve the right people so you can really create deeper relationships that are pretty meaningful.
100%.
No, it's been amazing having you on the show here today, brother. I think it's been just tremendous knowledge that's out there. So anybody that's watching live, make sure to give Mark an incredible amount of love in the chat. If you're watching the rerun, make sure to do the same thing. Make sure to share out there. And as we're starting to kind of wind down, questions I like to ask towards the end here is, if you had, one key takeaway for everybody today, there was only one thing that you could lay on the table for everybody to, really go out and take action to, and it would apply to the masses, and it might be even something we even talked about already. Sure. What would that one thing that everybody could take away with today be?
I think the biggest thing I would love people to take away is just make sure that everything you're doing, you're holding everybody. I'm a big accountability guy. It's always worked for me. I've always kind of made that kind of my end all be all. So make sure you're holding yourself, but it starts with you. Like everyone talks about hold your team accountable. It's a two-way street, meaning I have things like, I'm going to give you so many leads. I'm going to coach you that. Like when we hire somebody, we tell them, here's the coaching plan. That I'm kind of setting myself up to be like, I better do that or I'm full of shit. So it's a accountability two-way street. So if you can fix that part of your business, and I don't care what your company you work for, that's a huge change. And that's yeah.
Love that. And, when I sit here, across from you too, I think, anybody that's doing things great, any great man or woman, I think they're more than an insurance agency. You're more than, hey, I'm a great business operator. There's something deeper there that makes you tick. There's something from a legacy perspective that, hey, when you're long and gone off this earth that you want to leave behind. And I know you have a heart for philanthropy. So I'd be curious to ask you today is, one, what's the one thing that makes really Mark Mercer tick, deep down? And two, if, you were gone tomorrow and no longer on this planet and you had to leave one thing behind and you got to, mold that to perfection today and leave anything behind that was your legacy for years to come, what would that be?
That's a damn good question, Dave. Holy smokes. You're bringing it at the end. That should be a beginning question. Yeah. Honestly, the one thing I leave behind, it's kind of simple, but it's not. None of this really matters. Like if tomorrow's the last day, and everyone's sitting around and talking about me as a dad. Like, honestly, my legacy are my kids, my son William, my daughter Addison. Every man, if you have a daughter, it changes you in ways you'll never understand. But I mean, I know everyone's like, family, family, family. But for me, like I tell my son, like, I tell my son that the day you were born, I got to be called the greatest thing a man can be called, which is a dad. And it's not just a title. You got to put in the damn work. I mean, being a mother's the same. And then I tell my daughter, the day you were born, it changed completely how I viewed this world. Because for a father having a little girl, now she's going to be a teenager, and the hair's getting grayer, and but it's like there's something about a daughter that changes you. So like, if I can leave one legacy, just I would love her to be like, he was an amazing dad. That's all I want. The rest of this is bullshit. I mean, the money and the work, it's just kind of bullshit. I enjoy doing it. That was such a great question. I forgot part one, Dave. I apologize. I went to part two. What was part one? I apologize.
No, I think part one was because we had basically going into the legacy that you'd leave behind, and part one was what would make what really makes Mark Mercer tick deep down inside.
I guess on the professional level, I took it to personal. On professional level, I love winning. So I think when I started this gig, my number one goal was for me to make a lot of money for me and my family. That's still a goal. But now my goal is to bring people up with me. So I've got team members on my team that are crushing it. I get to see them buy their first house. I get to see them buy a car. I get to see them get married. And that brings me more joy than my own success now. That's a change. It's a fun change. Some of them are like, we're having conversations. Some are going to leave the nest, if you will, and start opening up their own agencies. And I'm going to be there to support that. Like, we're having these conversations because I like seeing people win. I enjoy it. It is my favorite thing professionally, is to watch men and women win at what they're doing. That's what kind of gets me out of bed professionally.
No, I love that. Well, man, thank you so much. I mean, just such great answers. There's such good wisdom in here. I recommend everybody to watch this entire thing and then go back and watch it again and figure out what you're going to implement in your agency today to be a little bit more like Mark Mercer. And then last but not least, how do people work with Mark Mercer? I know there's multiple different ways to work with you, but how do they follow you? How do they work with you? And what does that look like? I
mean, I'm not social media is probably somewhere where I lack. I'm basically the old guy on Facebook as far as where you find me at. Listen, I work with agencies throughout the country. I do coaching. I do consulting. Everything's different. Operations. I mean, as soon as I'm off this call, I have a coaching session with an agent that's just him and I one-on-one on how to get him to the next level. Reach out, message me, ask me questions. Even if it's just a one-off question. If that's all I can do for you today is a one-off and your day's better, I'm in. If it's something where we need to go further and build a relationship where we start redoing the organization and coaching, I'd love to do that as well.
No, I love that. Well, thank you so much for being on today. Thank you for spending time with us today. You absolutely crushed it. And thank you, everybody that was listening live or on the rerun of this episode of Ask the Experts. And then tune in next week. We're going to have another killer interview with another expert in the insurance industry. And until then, we'll see you next week.